This is not the first time in either ancient or recent history that a small band of freedom fighters has engaged the armor of totalitarianism. We intend to intensify our efforts for a struggle in many ways more difficult than war, where disappointment will often accompany us.
The summer and fall of 1962 saw more concern about Cuba and the presence of Soviet troops there. Some members of Congress complained that the Russians were building missile installations which were a threat to our security. President Kennedy took to national radio and television, and he stated the United States position clearly.
It shall be the policy of this nation to regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba against any nation in the Western Hemisphere as an attack by the Soviet Union on the United States, requiring a full retaliatory response upon the Soviet Union.
Less than 3 months ago, Mr. Kennedy was interviewed by Walter Cronkite, and he warned then that the dispute between Buddhists and government in South Vietnam imperiled the effectiveness of the war against the Viet Cong communists.
In the final analysis, it's their war. They're the ones who have to win it or lose it. We can help them, we can give them equipment, we can send our men out there as advisors, but they have to win it, the people of Vietnam, against the communists. We're prepared to...
President Kennedy made a 10-day tour of Western Europe early last summer in an apparent effort to convince Europe's leaders that the United States planned to stick by its pledge to ensure the freedom of the continent. Wherever he went, his reception was enthusiastic, but nowhere more so than in the divided city of Berlin.
There are some who say that communism is the wave of the future. Let them come to Berlin. And there are even a few who say that it's true that communism is an evil system, but it permits us to make economic progress. Lass sie nach Berlin kommen. Let them come.
Among the things that we know that Mr. Kennedy was the first real master of the English language to be president since Abraham Lincoln. He was eminently quotable, adaptably witty.
It's been a long time since a president and his family have been subjected to such a heavy barrage of teasing and fun-poking and satire. Can you tell us whether you read and listen to these things and whether they produce annoyment or enjoyment?
Annoyment. No, they produce... yes, I have read them and listened to them. Actually, I listened to Mr. Meader's record, but I thought it sounded more like Teddy than it did me, but... so he's annoyed.
Would you save us a couple of hours' work tonight and explain what the Band-Aid is doing on your left hand?
Well, I cut my finger when I was cutting bread. Unbelievable as it may sound.
I wonder if you could tell us whether, if you had it to do over again, you would work for the presidency, and whether you can recommend the job to others.
Well, the answer is, the first is yes, and the second is no. I don't recommend it to others. At least for a while.
John Kennedy came from a great Irish family, descendant on both sides of immigrants who came to this country in the mid-19th century. He was born in Brooklyn, Massachusetts, the second of 9 children of millionaire Joseph Kennedy. His older brother Joe was killed in World War II, and John was then the oldest of the family. He was followed by the 4 girls here with their parents. The family was completed with the addition of another girl and the 2 little boys, Teddy and Bobby. On September 12, 1953, John Kennedy was married to Jacqueline Bouvier. Shyer than the exuberant Kennedys, she nevertheless helped him on the path to the highest office in the land. We first met her when, as wife of candidate John F. Kennedy, she talked with our reporter.
This is my daughter, Caroline Kennedy, who's 2 years old. Can you say good morning?
How does it feel to be the wife of a candidate?
I suppose it depends on the candidate, but I enjoy being married to John Kennedy very much.
As the wife of John Kennedy, the President of the United States, Jacqueline Kennedy tried to spend as much time as possible with her children, and she often combined being a hostess with being a mother. Here she's introducing the Empress of Iran to her son John. The American people also saw the President as a father.
with new anti-lock brakes. And the new Dodge dual rear. Now you know what the tough get going in.
4 days in November will return.
An Almost Grown, hit for anyone who survived love, high school, and puberty during the 60s or came of age during the 70s. A class act, smart and innovative, taps the nostalgia vein and produces a gusher. Quirky, silly, engrossing, and different. Blame it on rock and roll. Almost Grown, premiering Sunday, November 27th on CBS.
I'm Morley Safer. While campaigning for the governorship of Tennessee, this future president was warned that he would be shot at a public meeting. He attended the meeting as planned, where he faced a hostile crowd. Fellow citizens, he said, I have been informed that part of the business to be transacted is the assassination of the individual who is now addressing you. He then invited anyone who had the intention of shooting him to do so. The crowd fell silent, and he delivered his speech. That display of courage helped make him a national figure and later a president. President Andrew Johnson.
You can live your dream. Be a beautiful brunette, fabulous blonde, or radiant redhead with Ultress. Only Ultress has a gel colorant. What a difference. And the color? Gorgeous. Be the best you've ever been with Ultress gel.